Greetings, everyone. It's me again, and not really don't really have a plan tonight on a particular topic or anything like that. So kind of thought it'd be interesting to just hear what y'all want to talk about, and questions about the VSS, questions about 3D printing, questions about other things that we're doing, and just wanted to talk about things like that, and also. Um, Oh gosh, I'm kind of waiting for some prints to finish, so you'll see me going back and forth working on stuff. It's a typical night. Um, anyways, just wanted to sit back and kind of relax with everyone. Um, like I said, have no real particular plan. I got the CAD program running. I have some stuff I've been printing tonight for my VSS. I got orders going on right now, and there's also been some topics that I thought would be rather interesting to talk about, and a few things that I've been speculating also. Um, so to get the ball rolling, um, talking about action figures. One thing that arrived this past week, some Joy Toy figures. Those yellow figures, they're like yellow combat astronauts or so, armored astronauts. I got some of these that came in, and they're a set of three. Two yellow ones that look pretty much like this. The only difference is the different head. But they're basically the same as this. And then another one that has like basically white highlights. And so I guess this one is the commander. And he's got like a mohawk type head or something like that, whatever that's called. I don't know what that is called, but anyway, he's got that type of head. So these are actually nice looking Joy Toy figures, and I rather like them. The joints, the movement is smooth. It feels almost, it feels very refined. The joints they glide. All the articulated areas glide. So you don't feel any ratcheting. You don't feel any give takes, anything like that. It's very smooth. One thing I've noticed also with these figures, I haven't tried it, but when you look at the pictures, it looks like the upper torso part, the vest part, is molded on the figure, but I don't think so. I have to take a magnifying glass and take a look, but it's got like a belt buckle thing here. It's got a seam right there as well on both sides. So it leads me to think that it's possible. Oh, kind of doing it right now. Kind of lead me to think that it's possible to remove. Yeah, you can remove the the torso armor area. The figure probably won't look good, but it's removable. I thought it was when I bought the thing. I thought it was molded as part of the upper torso, but it's a soft vinyl-like plastic, not super soft, and apparently it's removable. So I do like the way these figures look, and I don't really have a purpose to have these in my collection other than the look. They look good, but in terms of like playability, in terms of like my universe playability, how do they fit in with a GI Joe universe, a Marauder universe, that kind of thing? Um, unless it's some sort of sci-fi type thing, they really, I really don't have a purpose for them. They look really good. I like them. I would like to find a way to incorporate them with my Joes, my Marauders, and all that. But they really don't look part of that kind of universe. Now, if it was like a sci-fi theme or Acid Rain or something like that, yeah, I could see these working really well for an Acid Rain universe. For example, let's say, for example, two scenarios. Uh, some colony out in space wants to return to Earth, that kind of thing. So Earth has been, ravaged by, the war and pollution and all that stuff. So these, they're so you got some colonists that are sending some sort of squad to secure a foothold or retrieve tech or something like that. Or, and here's the other scenario. Um, with Acid Rain, between territories, there's like no man's land type thing, and you could have nomads running around there. Well, you could also have abandoned cities, abandoned laboratories, abandoned places, and so you can have figures like these coming from some space colony or some sort of space station to retrieve lost tech or something along those lines like that. So these figures would work very well with an acid rain universe, I think. And how would they work with GI Joe? That kind of universe? Don't know. You know, they would work well with something like Rock Gut Station, Empire Toy Works. Uh, but unless you have something like that, I'm sure it's possible to come up with some sort of scenario. So, anyways, they also come with weapons that look like this, and this is where I think these figures suffer. They come with three like this, and then two black versions. They don't have this big, huge ammo thing on the black version. But what I'm getting at is the weapons look underpowered for the bulkiness of the figure. You got a very beefy figure with some nice armor, and then they got this little pea shooter type weapon. It's just doesn't quite work. If it was like some sort of Gatling minigun or some sort of big energy weapon, some sort of sci-fi weapon, something that looked bigger, more powerful than this little weapon here, yeah, I can imagine the figure working well. Acid Rain, for example. Some of their figures, they're not. Some of them are not fully armored like this, and yet even some of those figures, they have huge, longer weapons. It looks bigger. It looks more deadly. That like those kind of weapons would puncture this type of armor, whereas this type of weapon looks like it wouldn't puncture this armor. So, would these weapons be effective against opponents these people are facing? I don't know, but there is another set out there. I think they're kind of like a bluish tint. I don't plan to get that. I wouldn't mind getting more of these yellow ones though. One commander, the rest in yellow. Yeah, I could see something like that working. I am impressed with them. So anyway, they're supposed to be like some sort of space astronaut. Looks like it's influenced by Warhammer. All it needs is, like a bigger backpack, that kind of thing, something Warhammer-ish. But it's got its own little backpack. It's got thrusters. They don't tilt or anything like that. They don't pivot around or anything. Looks like it's got some more maneuvering threats, jets down there. Um, so you can imagine these things up in orbit somewhere. Uh, oh, wow. Movement is restrictive. I have to figure out, a good way to tilt the legs and all that. So anyway, you can imagine um, figure like this, hovering up in space somewhere, and using the jets to kind of pivot around and position themselves. Maybe their boots have some sort of magnet type thing, to land on some sort of ship's hull, and do battle. Um, the heads do seem a little bit small. They look okay, kind of, on the figure itself, but when you look at a Joe figure, this is almost like going back to G.I. Joe 25th anniversary, the Peanut head. And I think that's how it is with a lot of the Joy Toy heads. A lot of them tend to be hit or miss. Some of them seem to be well balanced. Others seem to be extremely narrow. But if you're not swapping the heads to different figures, I think these figures are pretty good. They do have a lot of well, I wish the camera would focus on it rather than my face. But oh, it almost did it. So it does have a lot of detail. I think the color looks good too, kind of like a bee, like a honeybee. And but like I said, the weakness on on these figures is the small weapon that they come with. And I really think they need to come something bigger. Maybe Marauders would have weapons that are more sci-fi, but more appropriate to this kind of figure. You know, of course, Marauder does have uh, bigger caliber weapons and stuff like that, but something sci-fi that fits these would be good. So that's those figures there. Um, I've also been busy this week with. Oh, by the way, um, getting back to about comments and stuff like that. I shared the links to the video all over the place, but I noticed if there's any comments posted to the share that's directly on my wall on Facebook, there may be some sort of permission issue where I do not see the comments on my screen here. I'll have to break away and go to Facebook to take a look. So letting you know, I may not respond right away to comments because of that. So, anyways, so about the VSS, I've been working uh, quite a bit this week with the VSS, and I have a few ideas that I wanted to touch base with everyone about. First of all, on the topic of vehicles, I was wondering, as most of you know, my VSS is a space carrier, and I was wondering. I got, besides fighters, okay, like Cobra stilettos and things like that. One thing I'm doing is off the side. I'm trying to see if I can design and 3D print something like a Cobra stiletto, but not quite like if a Cobra stiletto were to be redesigned to be launched only from space with newer technology like well you know newer technology. A Cobra Stiletto is designed to be launched from the ground. So the tail part here and everything was designed to kind of allow the stiletto to stand on end so it can blast off. And then when it gets to orbit, it does its thing and then it comes back. So I was wondering, in terms of, like, if I were to design a Cobra Stiletto for the modern age, especially for the VSS, something that would already be in orbit. Perhaps I could design a stiletto where it doesn't require to be launched from the ground, uh, or it could be retrieved in space as well. So there's no need for certain types of landing gear and things like that. So I was wondering on other vehicles too, because a space carrier like the VSS probably should support ground-based missions and not just be only about fighters. So I was looking at a Cobra Hiss, and I was wondering if if it would be possible to alter a Cobra Hiss to be a vehicle that's appropriate for off-world missions, such as on the moon, on Mars, on other planets. Uh, there may be situations, especially with high-tech weapons, pure metal armor that you have on the Hiss may not be appropriate, especially against high-energy weapons. So I was thinking, with modern technologies in real life, we do have 3D printing. We have the capability of 3D printing, manufacturing small components of armor that can be placed together and chained and made into a web of armor. And you see that with some concept armor for wearable battlefield stuff. I know the Russians a couple of years ago, they were showing pictures of their next generation battlefield armor. And one of the things that it had was, hexagon parts. They were 3D printed. They could be, it was all modular. So if a hex component was damaged, that component can be replaced. It was hex, so it could be, flexible. You could have a web of them, and they could flex. So you could make armor that conforms to clothing, conforms to a backpack, to other items, and all this was put on display, and they had photographers taking photos of them and all that. But the idea is that you can also do the same things for vehicles. And so I've been wondering, like, okay, well, if Cobra were to go into the future kind of thing, and made new armor for their Hiss tanks, and had them available for space missions, what type of protections would they need? If they're dealing with high energy weapons, metal may not be the best armor for them. Some sort of composite material, some sort of ceramic material might be more appropriate. So, in other words, and I was wondering, like, could make little armor pieces, has a combination of metal, combination of ceramics, combination of other items, each item designed for different types of protection. And so basically, I was wondering, like, what would it take to redesign a Hiss for off-world missions and replace the metal sides of a Hiss with composite and advanced armor. But I was also wondering about the tracks, and I was wondering, like, maybe the tracks for Hiss is not appropriate for every condition. So I was looking at concepts for moon rovers, um, even Mars rovers. Using specialized wheels, different shapes, different surfaces on the wheels. And I was wondering, if it's possible to replace the tank tracks on the Hiss with wheels. I wonder how that would look. And I was wondering, how would it look also? What if you were to make the Hiss into some sort of walker? Something to have some legs, maybe 4 legs, and not for fast moving, but for walking on an asteroid or something like that, very uneven ground. And I was wondering other things too, like the cockpit for the Hiss. Does it have to be so much forward in front of the vehicle? Um, so I was wondering all of these things, and I decided to design up some sort of mock-up and see. So I have a Hiss right here. I was wondering all of those things with. So I was wondering, like, what would it take to remove the tracks and put like oversized wheels on there, something appropriate for the moon or for Mars or something like that. Or what if we were to make the Hiss into some sort of anti-gravity vehicle? We place a track and put an anti-gravity thing, so it can kind of you know be used on low gravity planets or low gravity moons. So I was wondering about that too. So I was thinking, it might be fun to kind of like 3D print just a common Hiss body and have the drive part replaceable with other kinds of drive mechanisms, walker, anti-gravity wheels. Might be interesting for different types of terrains, things that are not common on Earth. Like low gravity, certain types of dust. Of course, not to be used like some sort of spaceship, but can you imagine what if? What if we have a Hiss with some mechanism that allowed it to maneuver in a very low gravity world? You want the thing to be fast, and whenever every time there was an explosion, it wouldn't just like if this was some world with low gravity and they have tank tracks, some sort of explosion happened real close by. The explosion is not going to drift the Hiss, off somewhere. So just wondering about that. And the other thing too, I was wondering, like what would it take to kind of cut down the top part of the Hiss, maybe make it a little bit longer as a troop carrier. That's something else that I've been noticing a lot too. A lot of people have been 3D printing, and not just 3D printing. Joy Toy's been getting in on this too, making some sort of all-terrain vehicle. Like not a Jeep, but some sort of SUV type vehicle, troop transport. So Joy Toy has their vehicle out there now. You can order that from like Locker Toys. They now have a tan version, which I thought was interesting because it shows more details. And there's been a few other people making 3D prints of vehicles as well. And I was, kind of looking at them, feeling impressed about them. But I was wondering, like in terms of the VSS, I was wondering, like, can there be more done with the Hiss tank? And I know there's been other versions of the Hiss tank, but I'm not too familiar with those. I mostly collected the classic Hiss, so I have like a bunch of these. And so I was, but you know, I was wondering, like, well, what if you could do more? Like, what would it take to convert a Hiss tank for to be like a troop carrier, or take an idea from Acid Rain, for example. They have a vehicle, and that vehicle can tow a trailer. The trailer is the troop carrier part, so you could have trailer after trailer after trailer, make a train of trailers, each one carrying like 6 or 8 figures. And in armor, they would have armored shield parts on top. So I was wondering, well, what if we were to do something like that for the Hiss? Have a similar style, so it's not just a box on wheels or something, but it has a similar Hiss look to it. So everything has this appropriate look. And another thing, well, also acid rain. They have a walker with an artillery gun, like a howitzer type weapon. So I was wondering, well, what would it take to cut down the Hiss here and have some sort of howitzer mounted on there, or some other cannon, or perhaps one of those large cluster of missiles, kind of pivots up and aims, and you can shoot a bunch of missiles. I know a lot of people just put like Stinger missiles on top, but to me, when I see those type of customs, after a while, I'm thinking, the Hiss is so tall, it's like a target. So I was wondering, if you try to keep the Hiss as low profile as possible. Of course, the Hiss itself is tall, but there's only so much you can do to make a Hiss to remain looking like a Hiss and still be uh, low profile enough without changing the design. So with that said, I'm going to take a quick look and see if anyone's posted any comments on my wall. Nope, none. Okay. So remember, if you have any comments you're posting, try to post them on like the DioWarriors store or something like that, because then I get to see them on my screen right here. Another thing, something that I read a long time ago. I think one of the ideas of the original Hiss was for the back part maybe to open. Excuse me, to open. I'm not sure. I read somewhere that it was conceived as that it may have enough room that you can put a figure inside. In other words, to make the classic Hiss also double as some sort of personnel carrier. I think that became true for later versions of the Hiss. But I think, if I remember correctly, reading the article that I was reading was talking about the classic Hiss version 1. So it doesn't look possible. Then again, too, not being a real vehicle, you can just jam in a figure in there if you have. So I was wondering again, well, what if we were to alter the drive parts, make it modular, and make it possible to actually have enough room to put some figures in there? Maybe make the Hiss a little bit longer and have enough room to put maybe 4 figures or something along those lines like that. So anyway, I started to try to experiment. So I went ahead and just, excuse me, designed a very rough model of a Hiss. I'm not trying to reproduce the Hiss. All I wanted was just something that I can work with, and try to come up with something that looks kind of like a Hiss, but not exactly. So so I started that little project, and the idea was that the idea is something that could be easy to 3D print. And so I went with straight lines. Like for example, if you look at the Hiss, it's got a slight curve to it. I went ahead and just made it straight. Things like that. 3D prints can handle curves. Obviously, it depends the direction of the print, because some curves will have it really nice and smooth, and then it starts to get to uh, a step pattern to complete the curve. So the best way is just to keep things straight. Keep it minimal, simple for the printer. And the other thing is depends on the direction of the print. That I haven't decided, because if I were to cut the Hiss to just print like the top part, bottom part, then the printer is going to be printing going up. And or if I were to do it in such a way where the hiss could be printed like this vertically, the printer will be going up. So it just depends on the direction of the print. That affects the quality, but also it affects the strength. And I can explain that later. But basically, what's printing along the X is going to be stronger than printing along the Z going up. And that just depends on the stresses, like, this was printed this way, it's going to be strong like this, but it's going to be weaker, So anyway, that's another discussion for another thing, but the purpose of all that, it just depends to get a good print, to make it easy for a printer. It just depends on the direction of the print. But I haven't thought about which direction I'm going to be printing my hiss. So I don't know how I'm going to have the finished product looking. But it will be easier to print, so that's one thing. Let's see. The other thing is the VSS itself. Oh, hold on. I just got this print just finished. I am printing door frames for the watertight door. Okay. When you get a watertight door, it comes with a frame that mounts to the. Well, first of all, watertight door is designed specifically for the VSS. It could be used in places that are not the VSS, but it's not specifically designed for any of those. It's mostly designed for the VSS. So it fits on the pre-cut MDF wood that the VSS has for these doors. So the watertight door attaches to a 3D printed frame that's on the wood itself. And so you can glue the hinge parts and everything to the frame, and the door would open and all that stuff. So the frame attaches to the MDF wood. But it only comes with the frame for one side of the door, not the other side. So what I'm doing is I am printing first for this VSS here, and I will make this available also on the DioWarriors store for the other side of the watertight door. So I know it's a simple thing that should have been done earlier, but time, just time. That's the number one thing with me right now. It's time. So I am printing a number of these, and I'm going to have them available in the store, I think, this week. And they will be, I'll have them in inventory, a bunch of them. They don't take long to print either. So I'm going to put this one right here. So let's see, take a better look. I don't know if the thing can focus on it, but it looks kind of blurry to me. Anyways, so far, this is not the finished product or anything like that, okay? This is only half of my VSS. And this is the engine room area. And it's only half of the engine room. So from this point here, it should be much longer, up to here. This is about a foot. So it'll be about a foot longer about up to here. This is one thruster unit. It's going to have two. They would be further up over here. I know the angle is not very good to give a sense of depth or distance, but I just put this up here right now just to kind of see how it looks with the lights going on. It's got a mini warp core. I got that from ThinkGeek, and an idea earlier today, well, yesterday, and I whipped up this little pattern today. Took about 5 something hours to print just this gray part, and basically it's a frame to hold this acrylic tube. Um, I don't have very many of these tubes. I have a few, and I got these about 2 years ago from a store that was it was one of these gourmet type chef type stores. They have fancy knives, they have fancy cookware. I don't remember the name of it, but it's one of those places that caters or tailors towards the professional chef, or people who love to cook, that kind of thing. You don't have to be a professional chef for that. But anyway, it's the type of store that would have kitchen knives that are hundreds of dollars, and they would have fancy uh, acid etched patterns and things like that. So that kind of store, they had a bunch of these acrylic rings, and they would have them for displaying plates and things like that. So they would sit on the shelf, and they would have a plate uh, just sitting on it. So they were going out of business, and they were closing up the shop. And so I bought whatever acrylic displays they had for like 10 cents each. So I got a bunch of these. Now the bad thing is they're I can't really use them in terms of the laser cutters that I have, because the diameter is so big. And although one of the laser cutters I have could technically cut it or etch on it, the thing though is that there are limitations on opening up the laser in different countries. I think the U.S. is one of those. So I would have to like go to Taiwan and actually buy the component there and then bring them back with me. I won't be able to purchase that component for my laser cutter outside of Taiwan. So anyway, the idea of all of that is, it's an acrylic ring. Even here, it's taken the reflection of the TV that I have this video with. So I was thinking, like, well, what if I could do it where I can etch transparency plastic, and etch some sort of schematic, and then put it on top of the warp core. Would there be enough light to highlight the etching? I don't really think so with this setup that I have here. But as I get closer to finishing up the VSS and I add more lights and add lights to the top of the ring, then yeah, maybe there might be enough light to illuminate etchings that's on this ring. Um, so I was thinking some sort of thing, as I do the ceiling, and the ceiling is about right up here. There's going to be some other objects I'll be putting on top, but the idea is to kind of make the warp core look more technical with more stuff. Yeah, you can't really see anything from here with the camera like that. I am looking into getting another camera, one that I can move around to the printer, to over there, back and forth, or to have it focused directly on top of the table so I could do like a proper figure review. The LED thruster, well, the thruster thing, the LED torch light. It's one of those that pulsates in the direction it's facing. So laying it like this, it kind of pulsates going forward, so it looks like it's throwing. So this is just part of that thruster part. There's going to be much more to it, and in fact, the thruster bell part, I ran it through my printer's software, and it did an estimate. It will take me 1 day and 10 hours to print just one thruster bell. So, and I got to print two of them. So anyway, right now the mini warp core is one of those car plugs into your car lighter, cigarette lighter thing, and so I have it plugged in. I got one of these little converters, and I think I need to get another one of those converters. I think this is a cheap converter, and I think it's like beginning to break or something. The power cord seems kind of loose. I don't trust it, and so I'm not leaving this thing on for very long. It's only while I'm here to maintain, but it's not going to be like all day and I go run errands, come back. It's not going to be left alone. So anyways, yeah. So the warp core is a mini core. It's not 1/18 scale or anything like that, but it's a good scale for the VSS. The VSS is not an enterprise, so it doesn't need an enterprise size core. And I'm thinking if I can add acrylic displays all around, then well, let's just put some and take a quick look. I got some simple displays here. Okay, I've been having these on my desk for a while. So I got like a Coca-Cola green one. I got a neon green. Well, I can't see it. Kind of like neon green. It is neon green, trust me. Oh, hey, look at that. Okay. And I got this this red one. Now the red one I don't quite like the red one because it is kind of, the etchings do kind of disappear into it depending on what surface. This surface where you're looking through the plastic, or this where the etching is directly in front of you. It's hard to see, but I think there's some people who are asking for the red plastic, so I'm going to make this available also. So if I were to, let's see, here's the neon green. I can't see anything from back there. Would you be able to see anything with the red? Oh yeah, possible. How about this? No, disappears too much. Maybe something up there. Anyways, so the idea is to have some displays like this mounted around the warp core. They have an etching of the schematics on top along that acrylic ring, and that's just for starters. Of course, the rest of the engine room all around will have consoles and display areas where you have these acrylic displays mounted all over. Also hanging from the ceiling, mounted upside down from the ceiling. And what I hope to do in time for Joe Fest is to have the ceiling with a lot of details for like hoses, cabling, things like that. Make it really tight with details. So, because when you're on the spaceship, you know everything you need has to be there, and it has to be within access. So I'm treating it like a Navy submarine. When you go into a real submarine, every space on the wall and ceiling, everything is filled with equipment, with piping, with wiring, with cabling, all that stuff. And so I'm taking the same approach. Also, with this engine room so far, um, oh, excuse me, I got some rails right here. There's going to be rails on top, but I don't have any on this one on top. And so it's got rails where the engine room, would slide onto to connect. Uh, However, I'm kind of changing my opinion on that. I'm thinking, and the reason is that sliding the rails, well, sliding the engine room onto the rails were so tight. I can imagine being at Joe Fest, trying to align and get everything just right, and inch here, moves like this until it works its way in. That's how I was doing it for just 2 rails. I can't imagine doing it for 4 rails. So I'm thinking to keep that idea, okay. But when it, when it comes to like assembling this over at Joe Fest, to bring it with me somewhat semi assembled, the engine room part, where the engine room is basically going to be a block of already assembled. And I hope when I put the VSS together at Joe Fest, all I would have to do once it's assembled, take the engine room and slip it into uh, the area of the VSS where it's supposed to be. I'm hoping it's going to be as simple as that, rather than trying to do with the rails. The rails were just too tight. Let's see, I got a message. Hey. Okay. Let's see, hold on. Let me get a link here. Might have someone joining us. We'll see. Okay. So, anyways, so back to this. So the VSS that you see here, this part, is still the front part of the engine room. The second part will have identical structures like this over here. All that will be a wall that I'll be able to remove, so I can have access to figures and things inside. I'm still I'm very close to working on that wall, and right now what I have going on is I'm printing another one of these beams, one like this. And what you can see is that the way the beam attaches itself to another beam down below. Of course, it's got attachment points for all sorts of stuff. And so the wall is going to be attaching to the outside area. And there's more structure to this. And the way it's going to attach this will be through magnets. That's going to be on each one of these beams. And some printing also. Let's see. Well, I did take this with me. So I'm printing these little pieces of plastic here. They got a little hole, but this is what I'm going to use to hold some magnets. So this is a special kind of plastic, and it will react and melt with alcohol. So the idea is I'll put the magnet inside here, and I'll fuse the magnet by melting the surrounding plastic. And of course, it'll have a cover. And then this piece would fit right into. Well, let me just trim that off and make it a little bit easier because I don't want to jam it in there right now, you know. Okay. So the idea is I'm not going to put this all the way in because, like I said, I don't want to jam it in. So the idea is that it will fit further in, and it'll have, so this side will have the magnet, and then you have another beam with another magnet piece, and they should connect. So that's how the walls are going to attach to the outside. And these are going to be neodymium magnets. They will have a good, strong connection. Worst comes to worst, if I need to make the connection stronger, I can simply print an outside area of this and fuse it that will hold more than one magnet. So, excuse me, there's always a solution. So let me put this over here. Now also got a bunch of these, and these are joisting beams. They will be used for the ceiling, the whole parts. I have 3 sets like this. So I got a bunch of these things, and I'm keeping them all organized like this right now. But the idea is the ceiling to the VSS will have some joisting to hold the ceiling. So I'll have like another beam, like something like this, but where the joisting eventually is going to rest on top. And hopefully everything will be strong enough that I could have the flight deck on top of that. So far, I think everything will be strong enough. I take a look at this piece, and it is pretty strong. It's strong enough that I'm confident that the engine room won't warp or twist or anything like that. It is pretty strong. So I'm thinking with the same type of idea, same logic, in the same way I designed these types of joistings can be extended where they support each other. And so when I put the wood structure on top for the hull, and I reinforce that, um, that should hold the weight of a flight deck with vehicles. So all these joistings here will support um, the front hull. I'll show you right here. This area here in the front, those joistings are just enough to cover that. We have to do more prints for the opening area over here. And of course, since this is just half of the VSS, I got to do the other half. And so that will just cover the hull, the top hull. Okay. It's a lot of work just to do this one. So far, all of that is just the well, all that is just, it's not even talking about the sides. It's not even talking about the outside area. I still have launch tubes to do, an outer walkway with airlocks and other things like that. It has also, I haven't touched on the topic of bulkheads on the insides. There's a lot, there's a lot. So far, this printer is the only one that I have dedicated to printing just this. But I'm thinking, if I start feeling the pinch of deadline, I may have to bring in another printer. And at the same time, too, I'm wondering if this VSS is going to even fit in this room. That table there is like a 6-foot table. The VSS, two of them, end to end, will be about 8 feet, and then add 2 more feet for the engine room. Hey, Damien Ross. Hey, hey, thank you. Yeah, it's when you got dedication to it, yeah, it's an act of love and all that stuff, so thanks. Let's see. Oh, got another message. Let's see, but is it? I don't know. Okay, looks like it's just gonna be me tonight. So yeah, weekends can be kind of tough to go live streaming, but hey, okay, good. I'm just taking a quick look, see if there's any other yeah. Oh, that's me. Okay, that's just clicking on the link to see if there's any. Okay, good. So yeah, getting back to our video. Yeah. So yeah, so when you look at the length of this VSS, that's 4 feet right there, plus about 1 foot here, and then of course it'll be another foot, probably like 1.5 foot more. So you're looking at around about 10.5 feet. And I'm thinking that this room might actually not be long enough for it, unless if I were to go diagonal. So I'm thinking different ways, like Maybe I can move this table to the back over there, have that table with the VSS, dangly over here. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do with this table that I have the video set up. Maybe I'll move it like that. So it's like this. Right now, this table is at an angle. Worst comes to worst, I'll have to move that VSS out into the next room, and move some furniture around. Ooh, excuse me. I better get something to drink. So, yeah, too bad you can't see much details right now from all of that. But later, okay, when I get more of the engine room set up, and I get more of the floor and the walls done, the walls having greebles and the floor being more shiny, because I got more spray paint. Um, then it's the shininess should be able to reflect the lights very nice. Um, so what I'm thinking is the closer I get it done, I'll have more lights to work with and do more things that play with the lights, shadows, and stuff, and make things more interesting to see. Because right now this might look okay, but I'm sure if I were to take a photo through the door, open up a watertight door and have the camera, show a little bit of the outside room looking in, I'm sure it'll be some interesting eye candy there. So I'm rather excited to think about all of that. Um, Something else that I was working with earlier today, the little mini warp core on that. Well, it has a wire, to get the power. So so have this little wire right here, and so I didn't forget about it when I was designing the thing. It's just that now that I have to put everything together, now I'm going through to finalize all the pieces, and so I have the power cord connecting to the adapter plug, and I'm thinking I need to disguise the way that wire goes through the floor. So I'm thinking of making like some sort of tube, a pipe, where the wire goes through. And so I'm looking to redesign this entire platform part with the core. And I got these little grates, all printed there. This is the top. So I was thinking of redesigning that part and lowering it a little bit because it's kind of high. I think like if you got a figure, if you wanted to walk up steps, I think the steps need to be like 15 millimeters spacing, and that's just too high. The I'll need to have some steps leading up to the second to the platform. So I was thinking of just lowering the platform a little bit. But the other problem is that it can't lower too much because this part here really needs to be needs to be like the figure needs to be about there because that's about the height enough where a figure can move the arms to control a keyboard, a console. So yeah, I may have to actually, maybe I should just keep the height like that. We'll see. everything is the new design is in design. So changing the height from what it is to back to this, it's easy to do the change. So I'm thinking of other things with that core. So yeah, uh, so that's one thing that's been on my mind. Oh, but there's other things to talk about too. I don't want to just talk about only about VSS, even though I'm wearing a VSS T-shirt. I tell you one thing. I do talk a lot about the VSS, and one reason why is because I am very impressed with it. I think Victor Garcia did a fantastic job on designing the VSS and fantastic execution on putting it all together. One thing that I like about it is I have a lot of figures, okay? And I have a lot, mostly my army for G.I. Joe is around Cobra. So I try to be complete with the Joes, but with Cobra, I try to not just squad build, but I try to build more than just a squad. So I have a lot of Cobra figures, and I have vehicles to back them up. A lot of hisses, a lot of other land vehicles. Not so much on air power, but on other weapons. So all of the figures they're on display, kind of like behind me right now, and they're okay. But the stuff that's hard to see are vehicles because vehicles take a lot of space. And even though I have some vehicles up there on the wall there, but that's like I don't even have a hiss on there. So all of my hisses, I got like 17 or 20 hisses or something like that. They are in these large locker boxes and like large plastic boxes, and that's where I have all of my hisses right now. So in other words, I'm not enjoying them. They're tucked away, hidden in a box. So one thing that's nice about the VSS is that it becomes a medium to display vehicles, figures, and all sorts of other things. And since I like to do props, it becomes a medium for my props. So I am having a blast working with the VSS. It's not like just putting together a diorama. It's in a category all of its own, I think. So that's the reason why I talk a lot about the VSS. Not only that, but the other reason is by designing the VSS and putting all sorts of different kinds of props in there, it helps me to design new props, not just consoles and things, but other stuff. And when I get those ready, they go to the store. So if you guys like what you see and you want to reproduce and do it yourself, at least you can get the props. And when it comes to things like beams and joisting and other things, when these things are perfected, and when I say perfected, when they can be used on the VSS as intended, okay, they're strong and all sorts of other stuff. I will make these things also available on the store. And the idea is, if you like what I do, you should be able to reproduce however you want. So, you may not want your own VSS, you may not want a VSS space carrier, but you may like beams, you may like consoles, you may like doors, you may like displays, you may like greebles on the walls, and you have your own ideas on how to use those greebles and those beams and all those other things. So, so you should be able to just say, you know, I like what they did. I want that on my thing, on my project, And so, I would like to be able to make those things available for your project, whatever your project is. Um, but I got to work out the bugs. And so by the time it gets to Joe Fest, I would consider, if it's a success, it's not breaking, like I bring it to Joe Fest and it's crumbling right there. If it's not doing that, then I would consider it a success, and I would start to make it available on the DioWarriors store. And so and then going out forward, everything that I do on the VSS, props and whatever, vehicles and whatever, uh, I'll make that available on the store as well. And I like science fiction, so this fits perfectly to my particular genre in the GI Joe, well, in the action figure uh, collecting genre that we're all involved with. There's people who like modern military, and there's others who like Western, like Wild West, and there's others that like post-apocalyptic type themes. Some like fantasy, and so for me, it's more on the sci-fi type stuff. So that's one reason why you see me do a lot about laboratory, about other things like that. The sci-fi part, I really like. Let's see. I gotta go do my rounds again. See if I'm not missing anyone's comments. I do apologize if I do miss your comments and I don't notice them until after the video. I do apologize. I'll try to answer those questions on the next video. Hmm. I need to also computer turn on USB 3.
Okay.
Okay. I need to start another print on that part that finished. So while doing the video, I'm also working on orders. And speaking of that, let me show you something. This is not really exciting, but just to let you know, I'm working on these parts for the cyber desk. I don't remember what I called it actually. So these are going through the process of suppressing the layer lines. So this one's half done. The bottom and this side is smooth. So now I got to do the top, this side, and the front. And then 24 hours later, it will be ready to be shipped out. So there are several people who ordered these things, and I'm trying to get them all done at the same time. So this is one set right here. I have others I have to include also. I got to clean up this one. This one came off of the printer not long ago. And once I clean this one up with all of these stringies, then I'll be able to put them through the process of smoothing. And then, like I said, once they go through the process, then 24 hours later, after I'm sure everything is dried, then they get into the bags and I ship them out. So Not extremely exciting, but at least you get to see part of the process. Hmm. Yeah, let me put this back. Okay. So, oh, something else that's been also in a topic. Joy Toy recently uh, posted some pictures of a I can't say it. A mono wheel, basically a unicycle, and you may have seen them. Excuse me. There's someone that's busy 3D printing some a 1/18 scale mono wheel. Excuse me, and that person is doing a good job. I like the style of his mono wheel, and Joy Toy is trying to get into it. They recently showed a picture last night of a 1/24 scale mono wheel or unicycle, and you may have seen them mostly on from steampunk pages. It's basically a large wheel. Someone sits inside the wheel itself, and the wheel it has the engine, the motor, and all that to turn the outer section of the wheel. So you have like this inner section that stays still where you sit, and then the outer wheel part rotates. And you turn by leaning, and the thing will turn and move and things. It's a great eye candy type of vehicle. It's unique looking. It catches attention. It's great for things like acid rain, for example, a post-apocalyptic environment. Um, if you have a steampunk setting, it looks great there. But anyway, thing is that um, a couple years ago, I tried my hand at doing a steampunk version, and it came out okay. It wasn't intended to be to balance on its own or anything like that. And a figure would fit on the side instead of having a figure on the inside. I did mine where the figure sits on the outside, and on the opposite end, there will be some weapons. I did like a World War I water cooled type machine gun. So I had like one or two of these machine guns on the outside of the wheel. So this was on the right side, and the driver's on the left side. And it looked good. I painted it up with rust and everything. It looked good for what it was. Um, I didn't put it up for sale or anything like that, mostly because there were parts I still needed to perfect. It worked good for me because I know what I was doing. Assembling everything. It's in my mind how this part's supposed to be. If I need to make an adjustment first and all that, instead of perfecting the design before printing, there were some parts I would have to adjust as I was assembling it. So I kind of knew what I was doing as I was working with it to make it available for the general audience. I would have to perfect it a little bit more. We'll just work on certain parts a little bit more. So it got to the point where I put everything together. It looked good, but I didn't have the time to go to dedicate a machine to printing that thing. And I wanted to also go back and consider other ways to print the wheel, for example, because I did mine where the wheel was in two halves, and so I would put the two halves together, and there was a seam line right in the middle. One way to get around that was just to make the thing thicker, the wheels thicker, and then print it like that, flat. But all that takes time. Thicker means more time to print. So I left it for later. It's not something essential. Then, like last year or so, somebody was started to release pictures of their mono wheel, and it looked great. It was a thick wheel and had some nice armor in the right places. It had the motor and everything was done in the right areas. It looked very well designed. I liked it. And you know, and there's been a couple other mono wheels out there. Some where, if I could do it like this, oh, take this figure here. Like for example, there's a number of mono wheels where instead of sitting, you know, like this to ride the wheel, maybe sitting like that, so you got the wheel all around. Instead of sitting like this, there's others where you basically, you basically sit on top of the wheel, and you have armor around and all that, and you're riding on top of the wheel like that. And one of those is, I think it was by Good Smile Company, as part of a Figma prop. Um, they have a Drossel figure, the Drossel Fireball. No, the Drossel Darling, I think it's called. I have a Drossel Fireball right here. The next version of this one, it's another robot figure, but it looks different. But it has certain ideas the same. Instead of a twin tail ponytail kind of thing, it just has one. But one of the vehicles that it rides is a monowheel type thing, and but it rides on top of it, and so you got the handlebars and everything, and then you have this shield in front. Then you got this kind of shield thing in the back that kind of semi covers your back, and then you got so over your chest, your abdomen, and all that is on top of that. Well, in front of that, you have the wheel, so you're riding on top of the wheel, and it looks good, for the Drossel figure. It looks good for that, but in terms of like a 1/18 scale thing for a figure, vehicle for a figure, you know, riding inside the wheel, it's a lot better. So anyway, what I'm, let's see. Let me take a. Oh well, you know what? Yeah, I don't have available the Joy Toy picture, but oh well. I was gonna try to show that, but I don't have that available. So anyway, Joy Toy, recently released some pictures, intending for next year their own version of a mono wheel, but it's for 1/24 scale, not 1/18, and it looks good, for what it is and everything. But I think the one who did the winning design is that person. I don't remember his name, who did it for 1/18 scale, and I think he even painted it to kind of look like acid rain colors. It looks very good. So it's one of those 3D printed vehicles that I think was well done. Um, I haven't thought about trying my hand again at another mono wheel. I might do it. I don't want to. I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to copy anyone's designs. It's just that, with Joy Toy getting into the action with it, I'm thinking I might need to do my own mono wheel and see what I can do, and hopefully try to make it look different enough that I'm not copying off of somebody else's work. I don't want to copy off of anyone's work. That's why you don't see me doing things like Star Wars or some other type of prop. I try to be original, and other people can copy other stuff. I want what interests me is being like the first to do this, the first to do that, something you have never seen before. Those kind of props. Oh, let's see. I got a message here. Hmm. Okay, so I'm getting a little sore throat. I'm not quite sure why. Uh, got some more prints. Uh, and I'm doing a lot of things with tabs now, or these little connecting type things. So I have a printer. I don't want to say dedicated to it, but recently that's all it's been doing. It's been printing these little. I'm about to lose one. Printing these little things, and they're just for me to assemble stuff. Uh, Another print is about to get done with the bio hand scanners. Oh, that reminds me. Let me open this one up. Can't really see it because of the lighting and everything, but oh, and I'm not sure which way. Okay, this way. Let me put this in. It's going to look brown because it's got paper. I better not put it all the way in because it's going to be tight and I won't be able to get it out. But so yeah, I better just keep it like this. No, I can't really see it too well. It doesn't. It's not going to focus. Come on, focus. Well, you can see it's got a handprint. Anyway, the thing about this is that this is an experiment. I have some white acrylic. It's off-white, really. It allows like 30% light transfusion through, so it's a very milky white acrylic. And I was thinking along the lines of let's see, this is all difficult. I was thinking along the lines of offering other colors to the hand scanner besides the neon green. I do have some um, hand scan plastic in the orange. I may do it differently I do have them printed where instead of for the right hand, it's set up for the left hand. So that may not be so obvious when you look at it. And the reason is, well, so I'm doing it also with some off white plastic. Well, this milky white plastic, and I need to get some more acrylics. For example, black with white for the hand, or white with black for the hand. And the reason is that I'm trying just to give other offers, other options really on the displays. So I do have some acrylic here. This is a special acrylic. It's white, and when you engrave over it, it reveals the black that's underneath. So I have this acrylic set up because I want to try an option to have things like the map table that shows the world map and other things like that, and have other options to show like the land masses in black or things. And I need to get one where it's just the opposite. It's black, but when you engrave away the black, it reveals white. So I have that also. So I want to make those things available soon. Uh, well, I think that's basically all I have to talk about at the moment. Um, it's been a long day, and I'm drinking this Sparks root beer. It's I think root beer is supposed to be non caffeinated naturally, but Sparks root beer is a little bit different. It actually has caffeine. So don't know if y'all know the history of Sparks root beer, but it's actually from Louisiana and Mississippi. It's the original story is that there was I think the original story is this, that the inventor of the drink's formula, um, his son or something like that, had a best friend, and they got along well. And so as things developed, the families became very good friends as well. It wasn't just the sons, but the friend's family also became very close with the other with the guy's family, and so they shared the formula, and they opened up two separate companies under the same name, that kind of thing. If that makes sense. One was located in Mississippi, the other in Louisiana. I think New Orleans maybe. And but the relations between the two families were good, so they didn't step on each other's toes or anything like that, and they made similar decisions. So they didn't compete against each other. Instead, they worked together, and they made a common brand. So the original cans were like yellow with the barks in red, and you do see this the little tagline, "It's good." That was also used in the original can, but also on one side of the can, it had another tagline. It was a question. Is it root beer? Question mark. And the reason why it was listed as "Is it root beer?" is because root beer is not supposed to have caffeine. But the Barks formula does. So is it really root beer if it has caffeine? So that was the thing. So anyway, Coca-Cola came in and got into negotiations to buy or distribute or whatever it was. I think the New Orleans one. And then when they heard that there's also another family in another state that's also doing, they also have the legal thing to do barks. I think Coca-Cola kind of like was unsure if they wanted to use barks as their root beer, and so they ended up talking with the other family, and like the other family was cool about Coca-Cola getting involved, and then everything just worked well. I don't know any other details on that. I don't know if Coca-Cola swallowed both companies or both factories or whatever it's called for soft drinks, but or they arrange something else, like you know we want you to close your business, so we only have one. I don't know any of the details, but you know, end of story is Coca-Cola now distributes Sparks. So, but you know, the original Barks drink is from Louisiana and Mississippi. No, that's all. I am from New Orleans, so my home state is actually Louisiana, and my home city is actually New Orleans. New Orleans, so Louisiana, or just sometimes we just say, I can't even say it now, Louisiana or something like that. We take shortcuts in how we pronounce things. So anyway, with all of that interesting data being said, I have the rest of the night. I'm still working on orders. So even though you see me here talking and everything, I'm still working on your orders. So don't let my Sunday night playtime fool you. I'm still working on the orders and everything. The printers are working right now. I got two printers off out of all of those that are printing. Um, I got another printer way up there. I'll show that one in a little bit. But I need to replace a fan with it. And I have another printer that was my first of the small little mini printers. That one never really printed extremely well. So I have it for parts. And I think all I have to do is just take off the fan from there and swap it to this other printer. I think it uses the same size fan. And then I'll have another printer going. And I say all of that because here it's kind of quiet right now. Even though I have printers going. I got this one going. I got these other ones going, but everything's kind of quiet. But that one printer that I'm talking about with the fan, when that thing goes, oh, it's loud. It's really loud. I do have a fifth generation BakerBot that's even louder. So, um, but that MakerBot is the motherboard on it got fried. So, and I need to see about getting my tech support subscription with MakerBot updated again. Costs about $300 for 1 year just to send that printer back so they can work on it. I may have to do that soon. Just that you know how it is. You get $300 and you got to use it for something. So we're not at the point yet where I have luxury of $300. Oh, I'm just going to go and spend it on tech support. I don't have that kind of thing. Um, but the flip side of that is that printer. It's a MakerBot. Okay, it's not cheap. It's a workhorse though, and that's one thing I must say about MakerBot printers is that they do print well. When they print, you can just walk away confident that your print is gonna work each and every time. So I do have mixed feelings on that printer. $300 is quite a bit to spend on it, and I don't want to have to do that. but at the same time, I have no option to fix a fried motherboard. It has to be replaced. So I'm going to have to see about getting the subscription for that and actually calling tech support and having them send me an RMA number so I could send them the machine so they can go and fix it. Else, I wouldn't mind fixing it myself simply by, give me the motherboard and I'll swap it myself. I can do that. But, since Stratasys bought MakerBot, they have really dumbed down their tech support. So if something breaks, you got to send the machine back. That wasn't how it was before. Before Stratasys got involved, if the machine broke, they will send you the part and you put it to, you did the repair on your printer. And I kind of like that because, it got you involved more into your printer. If something were to break, you didn't have to always rely on tech support. You can kind of, take a screwdriver and kind of figure it out yourself. But anyways, I'd like to get that printer up and going. So that's basically it for tonight. I'm trying to think of anything else that I may have left out. Just that the week passes so quickly, I'm looking at some stuff here. There's some things that I have left over from previous video, and I'm just amazed. Already 7 days has passed, and it's this coming week. I have a dentist appointment, so I'm going to lose a day, and so I'm kind of rushing to try to get things done. Getting Christmas, so I want to get the orders out too. So I don't want people to be waiting, past Christmas, to get their orders. So gosh. Anyway, more stuff going on, and I got other things coming up for next year, and well, some good news and some bad news and things like that. So not everything is really great when it comes to the world of action figures. There's some stuff I'm kind of holding back right now in terms of news, but I'm still hoping to be optimistic. So we'll see how things go. I wonder how my voice is. I just noticed the microphone is facing away. So anyway, to recap, stuff with the VSS. We talked about JoyToy, talked about some vehicles for 3D printing, talked about doing some alternate designs for the Hiss, alternate design for Stiletto, talked about JoyToy mono wheels, some JoyToy figures, and basically everything is being consistent from the previous videos. So that's about it I have to say. So I'm going to start wrapping up the video. I'm just going to do my rounds once more to see if there's any comments that are posted in any of the Facebook things. I don't want to miss anything. Okay. Oh, that's not a comment to me. I'm going to. I just saw a comment posted on something else. So let's see. Go into my personal wall to take a quick look. No comment there. Going to the DioWarriors store. Taking a quick look to see if there's comments there. DioWarriors store. Scrolling down. Okay, one comment. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the DioWarriors. Actually, DioWarriors group. And see if there's any comments there. Okay, no comments. Okay. Let's see. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video. Thank you for watching. I don't know, today was more of a lot of talk, and you know, rather than show and tell. But you know, but sometimes, you know, talking, you know, can be very informative. Not just looking at an object, but also just talking about concepts in general. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you guys next week, next Sunday, God willing, and I may do a video tomorrow. Just depends. Maybe I might do a video in terms of the CAD stuff. It just depends if I, you know, what item I'm doing with the CAD stuff. And that's the thing that I notice about the VSS things I'm designing. At the moment, I haven't really posted stuff about on the blog about the VSS, mostly because I am now doing the printing, and so I make sure that the part that I'm printing is ready for printing. I start to do the print, but the print takes time. I have to do several of these, like beams, for example. So instead of rushing to complete other parts, I'm kind of waiting to see how the beams and everything physically fit. So far, there's been no surprises. Everything's been fitting just the way it's been designed. And that's one reason why I worked on the mini warp core. And so little things like that. If I'm working on the warp core tomorrow, I'll do a video showing that. I'm not doing the model of the core itself. It's the platforms. So in terms of the video, it's not going to really be anything exciting to see. I would have to do, you know, here's the CAD stuff, and then here's the physical item. It's going to fit like this, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's where I am with the VSS right now. It's, you know, as I move forward, I'm doing it kind of cautiously. So I print and I design and I print, design, print, design, print. And so it's moving at a slower pace. So, but I'm going to try to update the blog with some more info. I'm not quite sure what at the moment, other than recapping. So, but I'm sure as I move forward, I'll have more pictures, you know, like greebles, for example. I haven't discussed that really. And so it'll be helpful if I can do some more greebles, so I have more than just simply one greeble to talk about. Okay, well, I'm going on and on and on. Thanks everyone for watching. It's almost 2 hours, and if you got questions, great. I would love to try to answer them. You know, if y'all hear news about new stuff, interesting things that we can use for our diorama projects, let me know. And there's been some good ideas suggested in private message, and so I'm going to try to capitalize on that and come up with some designs, and maybe next week or something like that I'll be able to show some progress. But keep the ideas coming, And thanks for joining me. Have a great night.